If you're new to Fusion and trying to get your head around how the whole thing works, this video will show you the most important features to learn so that you can get on with making cool things. Okay, so we're starting off in the edit page because the very first thing that I want to show you is the different ways that you can start off a project in Fusion. So the first way is by using a Fusion composition, and this is basically a blank canvas. There's a couple of different ways that you can start a composition. The first one is you can just right click in the media pool here and go to New Fusion Composition, and it gives you some options here, and just go create. And then you can just drag that straight onto your timeline. And the other way of doing it is if you go into the effects library, have toolbox selected, and just search for Fusion composition, and again you can just drag that straight in, and these are exactly the same. So that's really good if you're doing something like a title sequence or something like that. But if you want to bring some footage in off your timeline and add stuff over the top of that within Fusion, the better way to do that is if you pop some footage on the timeline here, place the playhead over the top of the footage, and then you can just go straight into Fusion, and that will automatically bring that footage in like this on a media in. And then the third way of doing it, if we go back into the edit page now, say you've got multiple clips on your timeline that you want to bring in, then what you can do is you can just select those, right click, and go up to the top where it says New Fusion Clip, and you can see it's combined those two clips together there, and then when we go into Fusion it's combined them into this one Fusion clip. So if we go to the end, there we go, there's the second clip. So that method is much better if you're creating something that's tightly integrated with the footage itself and you just want to drag in footage straight off something that you've put together on the timeline. Of course, you can also just drag footage and photographs and things straight into a Fusion composition by just going into the media pool and just grabbing the footage and dropping it in the node tree, and it'll just create a media in like this. So there's tons of flexibility there as to how you can start a Fusion comp and how you can add footage to that. And one last thing that's just worth noting is if you're using a Fusion composition, it just gives you a little bit more flexibility for resizing that. So with the composition you can resize the length of that however you want. With the Fusion clip you can't make it any longer than the clips that are in there. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the workspace then. So obviously your viewer is at the top here with like a miniature timeline underneath it that's measured in frames. Then your playback controls, and this is just a selection of the most commonly used nodes which you can just drag and drop on like that. And this at the bottom here is where you build your node tree. And much like in the rest of Fusion, you've also got some options either side here that will pop out. So you've got your inspector, keyframe editor, spline editor, which we will get back to shortly. And then on this side, the node tree, you can see your clips. You've got the effects library, which we'll be moving on to in just one moment, and a media pool. Another thing to note as well is there's this little button at the side. It's on both sides, and if you click that, it just extends this side panel right down like that to give you a bit more space. Okay, so let's have a look at the nodes now, how you get them into your node tree and how they function as well. So we've already seen that there's this toolbar along the top which has just got the commonly used nodes in there, but there's another two ways that you can get nodes into your node tree. The first one, and the one that I use the most, is by hitting Shift and space. That brings up this menu here which has got all the different nodes in there, and then this handy little search bar at the bottom there. So you can see I've got merge selected, and if I just hit return or press add, that'll just add that to the node tree. If you've got a clip selected, it'll add it directly after that clip and automatically connect everything up, which just really adds a lot of speed when you're creating stuff. So that way is really handy if you know what nodes you're looking for. If you're unsure what kind of node you need, you might find it easier to go to the effects tab up here, and in the tools drop down, this is also the same list of nodes that's in that other menu. they're just formatted in a slightly different way, so they're bunched together in groups basically. So you can see at the top here we've got all different types of lights, all different types of materials, textures, 3D. So it can be a little bit easier to find what you're looking for there, and you can just drag and drop those in like that. Cool, so let's get into how this node thing actually works, because I think a lot of people, especially if you're coming from, say, After Effects or whatever, and you're used to layers, they see this node tree and it all seems a bit complicated and weird, but it's really not. It's actually quite simple, and there's some easy tricks you can use to navigate it and figure it out when you're just starting. So essentially it's more like a flowchart. So we've got our media coming in this node here, and then going back out to the timeline here with our media out. And then in between that we can put various different effects. So we've already got a merge in here, and just as an example I could add, let's say, a text in there, connect that up to this merge here, and then if I go in the inspector and just write text, there is our text, which is over the top of our image, because if you remember we're going from left to right. If I then add another merge in here, and let's just chuck a background in there, and now you can see that's coming in between the text and the media in here. So that should give you some idea how these are kind of being stacked up. And just to kind of demonstrate this a little bit further, we could also add a mask, say, connect that to this blue input, and then that's masking this background into a circle shape. You can change the size and everything of that. Cool, so that kind of brings us on to the next part, which is what all of these different coloured triangles do, because that can often be a point of confusion. So if we have a look at, say, this merge node here, you can see that there's a little square on one side, and all of the nodes will have one of these little squares because that is always the output from that node. And then we've also got these different coloured triangles, and they're different types of input, and the colours just simply denote what type of input they are. So the yellow is always a background input, and the blue is always an effects mask. Then the green is often a foreground, as it is in this merge, but it can be other things as well. And as you just saw then, if you hover over these different inputs, it actually tells you in this little info box what that input does. So that makes it super easy to kind of figure out what's going on with each node. If I just grab some of these other nodes from up here, you'll see that there's often quite a variety of different inputs. This one is a garbage mat, we've got the effects mask, the background input, etc. And then lastly, one thing that can trip people up is these inputs don't necessarily stay in the same place on the node. And this is for organizational purposes when you're building out a node tree. So if I move this text node, it will move the green input to say the bottom. So if I drag it down here, you see it's just jumped to the bottom there, and that's exactly why they're colored rather than positional in terms of denoting what each one does. Okay, so let's have a look at the viewer now. So by default you just get this one viewer in the middle here, but if you hit this button up at the top you'll get a second viewer, which is really useful for looking at different parts of the node tree at the same time. Let me show you what I mean. So currently the media out and everything leading up to that is going into this right hand viewer, and you know that because if you look at the tab at the bottom here, you'll see that there's a little white circle on the right, and that's to tell you that everything leading up to this point is going into this right hand window. So if I hover over this background, for example, you can see the tab appears there, and if I then click the left hand one, that throws the background and the ellipse into this left hand viewer here. Alternatively, you could also just drag any node into a window. So for example, I could just grab this fusion clip into the left window and it sends just that into that window. Or you can highlight a clip. Let's highlight this text node and hit either 1 or 2 on the keyboard, and that will send it into the left or the right viewer. So that's super handy, especially when you start getting more complicated node trees. This is a really good way to work out what's going on at certain points and diagnose problems, that kind of thing. So let's just go back to the one viewer. If we have a look at the inspector, there's a couple of really useful features in here just up at the top. The first one is this versions button, and what that does is if I click on that, and you'll see these numbers appear, and that just means that you can create different versions of the settings within a node, which is super useful if you're not quite sure if you want the node to be a certain way or another way. You can create different versions and then easily skip between them, and it's super simple how it works. So if I just change the size, for example, of that, and that's version 1 because that's what we've got selected, then I go into version 2 and I change the size like that, and now that's automatically remembered those changes on each version, so I can just easily skip between them like that. The other really useful feature is this pin here. If I click that and then select another node, well then you've got the second node that I selected, the text node at the top here, and directly underneath it you've got the merge pin there. So if you've got a couple of nodes that you're kind of changing a lot of different settings on, that's a really useful feature, so you're not like constantly having to switch between the different nodes within the node tree there. In certain situations you might notice that the audio from the timeline is not being brought into Fusion, and if that's the case, there's a really easy fix for this one. All you need to do is add a media in like that. And you don't need to connect it to the node tree at all, just having that there anywhere on the node tree will bring the audio in for you, so you can hear. We've now got the audio on there, so that's super handy if you need to really tightly integrate the visuals with the audio, which is quite often the case. And if you want to see the waveform for this, you can just go up to the keyframe editor. If we go in there, let's close this, you can see there's our media in 2. Just drop down that, and we've got the left and right audio in there. If you have a quick look in this little 3-dot menu at the top here, I really like to have show only selected tools ticked in here, and that just means that you'll only see the controls for whichever node you currently have selected. So let's have a look how the keyframe editor works briefly. If I just select the text, for example, and let's go into the inspector, we're just going to add a couple of random keyframes. So let's do the size again. So put a keyframe there, move it forwards a bit, and then change the size like that. And you'll notice down here that's added these keyframes on the size control there. And I can just select those and grab them and move them around to retime things however I want. And then what you can also do is you can go into the spline editor, which is also up at the top here. So the spline editor is a tool to adjust the speed at which an animation happens, and you can create really smooth flowing speed changes or really angular and jerky speed changes and anything in between really. So we've got our text node selected here, and if we just make sure that this tick box is on, then you'll see the line with our keyframe there. And then another thing you'll want to do is click this zoom to fit button, and all that does is it just makes sure that all of our keyframes are within this viewer here so that we can more easily work on them. So what we've got here is time running from left to right, exactly the same as on the timeline, and then on this side going from the bottom to the top we have the amount of effect added. So this is our first keyframe and this is our second keyframe, and at the moment we've got a very linear line, meaning that this text animation is going to change size in a very even manner. And now what we can do is we can just select those keyframes and we can just hit Option and S, and that will create this S-curve in our line. So what's happening here is it's going to start out slowly, and then as it gets to the middle the animation is going to gradually speed up and then slow down again at the end. And you can use these handles to adjust the shape of this. So if, for example, I do that, then what's going to happen is it's going to start off very, very slowly, and then the animation's just going to exponentially speed up until it gets very fast at the end there. So a really easy way to create really interesting and organic animations with that. Thanks for watching. Drop any questions in the comments and I'll see you next time.